Hey everybody, my name is Jacob Deaton and welcome back to another episode of Southern Wedding Professionals. And today I have a really cool guest, someone I've known for quite some time, and I'm super stoked to get into all the things that she does. Her name is Lauren Hines. Lauren, how are you today? Oh, did
Out
we
there,
freeze?
but it's sunshine always in here. So doing well, doing well.
Good, awesome. Well, let's start with a little bit about you, and let's start with just a broad stroke of all the services that you do.
Yeah. So, well, we have quite a few services that we do. I'm going to record it. Vix, do you mind moving that chair out the way, please? Thanks. Sorry. Recording services that we do. Oh, it bothers me. I am so anal. That's part of, as a wedding planner, you have that. If there's
Right.
something in the throwing off the juicy or your view or your feng shui or whatever it is for your event, get it out of the way as quickly as possible. At a good time. I'm a wedding planner, certified wedding planner. I've been producing weddings and events, for events now over 15 years. And I call it producing events because everything that we do is a production. From the selection of the right partners that get involved, to the selection of the venue in which we host the event or the production itself or the shoot itself. It is a production. It's a major production of all the key moving parts, the timing, what things happen, where and when and where. And so if I were to say what I do is I am an orchestra, I'm a conductor. I'm of a well-orchestrated symphony. No matter what the symphony is that we're orchestrating, I'm the conductor for it.
That's awesome. The I love that idea of the word production because it really is. I mean, every wedding is in a production. It's a huge event, and not every single one of them, are the same. So tell me, like, what was some of the things that kind of got you into this whole world of wedding planning?
You know, it's funny. I was doing it before I considered myself a planner. In fact, I told family members I'm not a wedding planner, and I would literally be planning weddings. That's because I started in the bridal industry a as a publisher of a wedding tech company. So I started getwedforless.com as a resource to provide affordable, high-end quality services to markets. That's Get Wed for Less. We got the trademark. We were running, we had all these open markets online, publishing in various states, thousands of vendors on there with directory listings. And through that, people started booking me for actual weddings. I had already been doing events and destination events before that, but got heavily involved in weddings. And so that's where I guess people started hiring me for weddings. Beforehand, I had started my own, which led to me recognizing the need for us to start some type of resource for couples who were looking to have high quality affordability on their big day.
Right. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems like a logical path, right?
But
I mean, you get involved with, what something that's in the wedding industry, and then you figure out that there's something else for you in the industry, and then you pivot to that.
yeah,
Um,
for absolutely.
I mean, it that makes perfect sense to me. So many people get into this. One of the things that I've found is that so many people have gotten into this whole wedding planning business, if they are a planner, from actually experiencing it through their own wedding. I couldn't believe the amount of people that I sort of have run into, that the amount of people that have come through that whole process. But in your particular case, what skills did you learn early on in your working for this other company that maybe transferred to being a great wedding planner?
So skills earlier on probably came well in from my youth, I would say. There were those unspoken values and skills that I gleaned from my grandparents. When my family is from Jamaica, So it's a very hospitable island, all about serving and taking care of people, making sure people enjoy food, the music, the fun, the vibes, the family. And so it was very natural for me to go into the hospitality arena. And so I learned from my grandparents those some skill sets that I think are very important in any industry in which you are giving a service or providing excellence. He was a man of excellence to his dying day. His legacy is that of excellence for that entire portion of our family. And my grandmother served better than anyone else to this day that I've ever met. She would take care of people who really didn't deserve it, didn't ask for it. And so she really knew how to serve. And I learned service and excellence from the two of them. They were both people of high integrity, which is probably something, a virtue that I first and foremost look for within my team as well as we expand. And so those are the tacit, the unspoken kind of skills, or I should say qualities that I looked for. But starting within Get Wed for Less, it's all, when I started that company, what transferred over here was really building a system in terms of skills and entrepreneurship and building a company, a business, a true business. I learned that within Get Wed for Less was really learning how to know how to build a system, have people in the right seats on the right place. And that transferred pretty well into wedding planning itself. And of course, subsequently starting Atlanta Wedding and Event Professionals Network, which is the network that we run of 3,500 event professionals in Atlanta and in the state of Georgia. So that always helps to have a good system that operates and runs, especially when you're moving with such a group of people who all have the same end target and goal of being able to make money in the events world.
Sure. Let's talk about, well, first off, I got to ask two questions. One, we're going to get to this network, but before I go to that, I don't want to forget, where in Jamaica is your family from? Because I love Jamaica. I've been there 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah. It always draws you back. Everyone who's gone once goes multiple times. My mother's from Kingston and my father's from St. Mary, but then we have families spread throughout various parishes.
I love Kingston. Kingston was
Yeah.
so fun. I went with some friends that are from there, and I stayed at their mother's house for like 14 or 17 days, and I got to go to all the
Wow.
dance hall
You got
parties. Oh yeah, yeah, totally. But I got to go to all these dance hall parties, and I even learned how to. I even learned some of the dance moves that some of the people, which I didn't realize that there's people down there, that these professional dancers that go all over the world, they come up with like their own like signature moves, and it's like they have like names for them, and their
Absolutely.
names sort of like after them. It's crazy. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome country. It's an awesome island nation that draws everyone in, and we welcome people. We're so happy. We're out of many, one people is the motto, and it's so true. And I think that if more countries, especially in this day and age, if we adopted that motto as out of many we are one people, we would certainly be in a better society. I think that we'd always be moving forward if we could understand that.
You said that best. There's nothing I could even begin to add to that. The culture was really 100% amazing and super welcoming from the start. And they also didn't mind my attempts at learning their dance moves, which was fun.
That's right.
So tell us about this network that you started. You hinted at it. Give us the name again, and tell us sort of how that started.
Sure, absolutely. So, as you know, I mentioned I was already doing wedding planning and working in the events, in the weddings industry and events industry overall. I was living in the DC area at the time, moved down after starting my wedding planning and all the events business there, moved from DC. I actually ended up in DC. I went to Howard University, go Bisons, an alumnus of that university. And so after starting the family, we decided to move down to Georgia. While I was there, I really enjoyed the environment of social and professional networking that I was able to be a part of some really great groups up there. I enjoyed it. We had fun. we networked, and we made money. And I wanted to create that here. In fact, I didn't think I was going to just start something. I came here with the full intention of finding an organization or some type of community group that was had similar feels, like it was social, but people were there, they were networking with a purpose to be able to collaborate and make some income together, right? Everyone to do better. But when I came here, I went around and did different networking events, and it wasn't to my satisfaction, to be quite candid at the time. And so I decided to start something, instead of complaining about what was or what is. I think if we could be mindful of to see, well, maybe that could be part of what you're called to do. And I got up out of the middle of the night one night, I couldn't sleep, 1:30, 2 a.m. And I said, I'm gonna start this networking organization, start this community, really. And I reached out to one of my girlfriends who had moved down here as well from the DC area. And I said, hey, I want to launch this. Let's do it together since we both came from DC. Can you help me at least get it off the ground? And so I started creating relationships with different venues, meeting with different venues, and really creating some really cool group atmospheres for different folks to come. But the focus of Atlanta Wedding and Event Professionals, which is on IG or on Facebook, you can go Atlanta WEP, that's WEP for Wedding Event Professionals. And we started gathering, and literally within the first couple of years, Jacob, we had over 2,000 people within our email list, within our community pages, within our different things that we were doing, because everyone wanted a place where, here's the focus of the organization, to connect, to experience, to collaborate, and to thrive. We wanted people to come together to experience what the good stuff of Atlanta is, all the fun stuff together, to find opportunities to collaborate and to thrive. And since then, Atlanta WP has really morphed into a large a place where we do a lot of collaborative productions that set the stage for Atlanta in our industry. And so we formed, that's where Atlanta High Fashion Bridal came from. We started doing it back in 2017. And we bring together dozens of companies that are spotlighted on national, now international level, when we do this production every 2 years. And so we're actually in the works for doing that one again in 2021. And so we're really excited about the venue and all of that. So that'll be all unpacked on the page really, really soon. Right at the top of the year, we're going to be unveiling our partners and the venue that we are so excited that they wanted to partner with us on High Fashion 2021. So
Amazing. Literally creating your own community from the word go, getting down here and sort of, starting from complete scratch. You're the new gal in town, and then you just take on this, this ambitious community project. I am a fan of community. I've always been, I was in the military for 4 years, so a lot of people know that already that listen to the podcast. But so, community is like very important to me. And sort of, that was one thing that I did love about the military, was that everybody was in it for the same goal. And, when you're doing projects and you're doing drills or you're doing whatever it is, it's like there's a community that we've all kind of got each other's back, and we're all here to support each other, as well as thrive individually. And I think that's one of the reasons why that led me into music, because music's very much the same way, the community of music, etc. That was a very easy transition for me. And as this podcast grows, and also like as the world turns, and I meet more and more people in the industry like yourself, which I've known forever now, like the need for community continues to exist, and people like you who make that happen in are the real movers and shakers in the community. They the reward for someone that is just starting out in the industry, being a part of an organization like yours, I'm sure, is deeply gratifying, and also comforting to know that there's other people that are out there that have been through the same things, and are trying to, find their way in this business. What sort of like,
yes.
tell us more about like the process of getting involved in Atlanta WEP.
Sure, sure. And Jacob, I'm just really piggybacking on what you said, but we need it.
Mhm.
Um, in the time what we're dealing with COVID-19, in any time that we've experienced recession, I was talking with one of my friends, Tina from Fabulous Fox earlier, um, that we just need to focus on continuing to collaborate and work together and help everyone, because as much as we work together, as much as we are determined to be unified and to move forward and help each other thrive, that's how we come out of everything. That's how we get to, our mountaintops, or how we get to our promised land, or how we get to the effective areas and our productive areas in our lives, is really just working together through it all, because it's different. Yes, it's a new world that we live in, that many of us didn't wake up in 2020 thinking that this was going to be our reality, but it is our reality. So how do we, my grandfather would have said, make hay while the sun still shines, right? And so doing that. And so in terms of getting involved with Atlanta WP, if I meet you, you are fam. That's the way I look at people. I look at everyone as my brother and sister. They get to choose the role they play in each of our lives. People get to play that out. But if we meet them with love, that's what we can control, right? We can meet them with love. And so finding out what people do well and finding out what their strengths are, there's a way for you to be collaborating with Atlanta wedding event professionals. We have to, because of how we've grown in terms of our community level, it's very hard to have everyone take a role in some production that we do. So we lean first with our partners and our members. So if we know someone who is the best of the best and we've worked with them and they are of integrity, they deliver, that's usually one of the first people we're going to go to for any production that fits that person's gifts or skill set, right? But outside of that, there are the membership base that we have and that we are dedicated to them. We produce productions for them. We produce and curate membership experiences for them. One of our members is a DJ, and he did a couple different really great shoots, branding shoots for his company that we worked with him on as a member of Atlanta WP to be able to grow their business. So we're focused on helping other people's business, giving them success through these collaborations and through their own member experiences. So if someone wants that type of personal attention, they can come to us and become members. They can go on atlantawp.com and sign up as a member that way. If they just want to be part of the community, they can just go ahead to Atlanta WP or email info@atlantawp.com to say we'd like to be on the mailing list, or we're interested in membership. And then you become part of the amazing community.
Wow. I mean, what foresight in putting together this entire thing. Did you realize that when you started this, to get to where you are with your member base now, did you realize that like what sort of impact you were really truly going to have on the community?
Well, it's our community base that's the really large group, and so with our membership base, those people who have stuck out, and I haven't. As for me, it's funny when you say what impact I'm going to have. Maybe because I look at us really as a conglomerate of individual effort. I really look at that. I really believe that we are the community. We are the soldiers. We are the boots on the ground, which of course you would of course relate to that connection there. But it's not me. If someone sees me as the face of it, I'm honored in that case, because there's a group of people that are beside me, and there are a group of people that I stand on the shoulders
Mm.
of. So it's not Lauren Hines show, but I'm grateful that I've been given this responsibility. I do feel, I was talking with another one of our friends in the industry, doing at Messiah House, how there's this responsibility I must have put upon my own shoulders to help create hope when there are so many challenges that come in our, whether it's economic environment or whether it's in our true, health environment, so that we can always maintain hope. Hope, we can abide in hope, abide in faith, abide in love, and we will succeed. And so it's just, I'm relentless in my decision to be positive and optimistic, even through the challenges, because there are opportunity in every challenge. There are opportunities in every challenge. So.
Mhm. Speaking of the challenges, let's talk about the one that we hinted towards earlier, the horrible, horrible COVID pandemic. How has that affected your business? What have you seen in trending with your clients? or heard from other people's experiences through, running an organization such as this, I'd be interested to hearing about like your specific business as well as, the actual community.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you asked me that. I was interviewed by AJC not too long ago. They had called asking the same question. What's going on in the weddings world? How are you all maintaining weddings and doing weddings in lieu of everything COVID? This was back in, I don't remember when the article came out. I think maybe 2 months ago. And yeah, just 2 months ago. And the easy answer is yes, things have changed, but people are still getting married. They're just getting married in different ways, different quantities, and later dates. So whereas a person may have had a lot of our multicultural weddings, we're seeing that like that where we had 300 people, 350 people scheduled for this wedding, and that wedding, if it was still going to happen, let's say earlier this year or next year, and keeping it at a certain venue, they either had to pull back the numbers that could accommodate still that large number with social distancing. Thankfully, we live in a state that we were able to keep operating. We probably fully shut down for probably when we have to move some wedding dates, Georgia, to be able to still have weddings at the capacity that we have had. With that comes an awesome responsibility for us to be maintaining certain protocols, using our protective equipment as event professionals. Even when we do smaller scale weddings, I've seen a lot of more smaller scale weddings. My wedding business actually went up during COVID because we found a lot more people doing smaller, meaningful occasions. And so I'm grateful. I'm very grateful for that. You can choose to look at glass half full or half empty. I just looked at it. Okay, well, let's watch this and keep our glass keep our glass full and keep moving forward and believe the best, because often what you think about and you believe will manifest itself for you. So we have to be mindful of that. So we have to be careful what we say, what we think, how we act, what our intentions always are. And so with that being said, I, by grace, have been able to still keep the business thriving through COVID. And like I said earlier, the smaller occasions have been more meaningful, in my opinion. They've really had to narrow down. It was very hard for the ones who are planning in, let's say, the spring, like February or March of 2020, for a May or a June or a July wedding, for them to scale back from a list of 250, 300 down to 50. But they've had to make those hard choices. I think there's benefits in post-wedding, the marriage, because you've gone through your first major hurdle at that point in communication and decision making together. But in the world of weddings, we've kept moving forward. And again, I think being mindful to our clients, that it's nothing that they could have expected, and trying to come alongside with them for the ride as best as you can as a business owner, and as a human being. Because we still have our teams that we're responsible to. Of course, we still have our contractors we're responsible to, but we have our clients that we're responsible to, that we have to show show that we're human and we care. Because if we were in their shoes, we would want someone to be as mindful as we could be for this emerging challenge that no one could have expected.
I mean, it's been unbelievable to me. What started as something I thought that maybe I was definitely on team, like, this is 3 months. This is like, we'll get to the summer, we'll be okay.
Yeah,
That's the team I was on in the beginning.
right.
I mean, and I'm not an epidemiologist, so what do I know? All I know is usually when it gets hot, flu goes away. So,
Right. Right. When it gets hot, it's all going to be fine.
and now that we're here, and we're into another winter, it's or we were coming out of one, I guess, at the time, but
Yeah.
now that we're into another winter, it just really brings perspective of you know, how much challenge that all these wedding vendors that we know and love have faced, and also what the future might look like. Do you feel that like do
Yeah.
you feel like the trend of smaller, more intimate sort of weddings is going to continue on, maybe even beyond this pandemic, that people are going to realize that maybe this is, maybe this is the way, which obviously smaller weddings for some people means smaller budgets, which means smaller income for wedding vendors. Do you see that as like something that people are going to adopt long term as packages? Or do you see this as like a temporary fix to hopefully, get us back to normal?
Um, it can go a couple different ways, Jacob, to be quite honest. I think, and even with budgets, they may not have much, proportionately less of a budget in place for the wedding itself. Yes, on the cuisine, yes, on the amount of tabletop decor, yes, on the size of the space sometimes, yes, on the amount of rentals, because they may not need as many people. They won't have as many, it may not have as many people. But a lot of the services that people are providing, and I think a lot of our brides and grooms need to be mindful, and our clients need to be mindful of that, is that the work is still the same amount of work for a guitarist, for a DJ, for a wedding planner, for certain professionals, for a designer even. Yes, they're going to be less in the amount of the quantity or the variable quantities, but in terms of the level of service and the labor that's required for the planning and production of things, those are still very much the same. And also just being mindful of the level of service that's going to be required when you need to change a date because you want to have your 200 people or you want to have your 300 people and your particular venue cannot accommodate that safely. And so having a service professional that you're willing to spend on the quality and that will still give you the service level when a pandemic faces you and affects your household now. It affects your wedding personally. And so some of the costs have come down in variable quantities, I think, because they're looking to recognize what's most important. That's one of the benefits and the silver linings I've seen in this pandemic is that we're looking at what's most important right now. Think about it right now, it's December. How many of us would either be planning or playing whereas we're not, and we're thinking we're spending more time with our families. We're spending more time with our team. We're trying to be more creative. We're on the phone. I was on the phone with one of my friends the other day and I said, man, this is what we used to do before social media. You're just checking and inquire at people. We would actually pick up the phone and talk. And now we can't necessarily we're not going to everyone's home, right? But we're doing things like getting back to, I think, what's important. And I think if we allow ourselves to focus on the good and get back to what's important, that's helpful. And that's the spillover I'm seeing in the wedding side. That brides and grooms, big wedding to celebrate our love and celebrate our entry into marriage. And so they're still spending decent money on a more intimate or just a smaller wedding. And so, yes, I do see that we're going to have a trend probably towards some of the smaller, just for the sake of safety, especially as we navigate these waters, awaiting a vaccine, if we're going to use it, or just going through the process to see what's going to happen. Some places have, of course, gotten vaccines. And so that's going to have an impact, I think, as well on our the safety level or the feeling of safety or the comfort level that our clients will have as well. And so I think we will see some smaller numbers, and not necessarily always smaller budgets. It really pains my heart, to see some of the companies that have been around for decades that have gone out of business since this pandemic. So we get through this, get through it together and through innovation. We have to innovate, we have to pivot, we have to be okay with doing things different than normally. And we have to be willing to support each other, especially our small businesses as we go through this, because we need each other.
We really do need each other. And, having the support from, other vendors to, basically have that shoulder to cry on when you need it is really important right now. And I think it's really important that we all recognize, our humanity in this moment and sort of be vulnerable for people, but also be willing to listen to other people that need to be vulnerable, so we can accommodate those people as they need us. The
Absolutely.
the feeling of watching so many wonderful vendors, and not just vendors that were like, maybe, not that great at what they did or anything, but you're right, like people that were like stalwarts in the industry, people that were like the standards, watching those organizations that they built, fall to something that was no cause of their own, like they didn't mismanage their business in any sort of way. It was just, that's been the hardest thing I think for me through COVID, is watching like, restaurants or, or anybody in the wedding industry that had to shut their doors and go figure out and do something else, because they got in too deep, and for no fault of their own, they are no longer with us, and that's a really hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. We have to find what is our anchor in times like these, because if we don't, then anything is going to take us out mentally. See, economic hardship, environmental hardship falls on us all. The unexpected hardship can fall on us all. But what wipes you out mentally, we have to be mindful of having those things that anchor us. And I don't know what it is for some people. For me, it's my faith. I use Romans 8:28 and all of this, and that's my anchor. Because when stuff goes haywire, I'm like, somehow this is working out for my good, and I am leaning in on that like a dog to a bone, and I refuse to let that go. If you want to have another choice of faith, go right ahead. That is your prerogative, and this is mine. We coexist together. And so I think that's important. And people are finding out what it is what is true, what is real, and that's really important in this day and age. So
That's amazing. We're wrapping up our time here because we're getting close to when you have to go. I know you've got like a super packed schedule because you're in demand and you're amazing. So before I let you go, though, before before I let you go, I have to ask you some questions that I ask everybody that comes on this podcast, because I like everybody to know a little bit more about you, the person, you, the individual that makes you who you are. So I'm going to ask a bunch of random questions that are all PG-13, and we'll figure it out.
Is this PG-13 1990 or PG-13 2020?
I would say it's more like PG-13 90s, but that's just my opinion. We'll find out. You never know where it takes you. And if anyone's ever listened to any of these podcasts, they know that depending on who the person is that I'm interviewing, it could go one way or the other. But in your particular case, I feel like it's going to be PG-13.
Right.
So let's start with this one. What is give me something that's like your jam right now? What are you listening to? What music is like really, really giving you the groove?
CeeLo's Magical Moments Christmas album, because he rocks it in so many various kinds of genres. Yeah. That's what I'm rocking right now. I love the Pentatonics, Christmas, anything Pentatonics. So that's what I am. I'm all about the Christmas jams. Come like it's the first chilly day, I throw on Christmas jams.
Listen, I gotta tell you,
Christmas. Yeah.
I like in the style of a cappella harmony. I like four-place Christmas albums, and
nice.
I also I like those. Of course, Donny Hathaway's "This Christmas." I mean, you can't go wrong.
Original.
Maybe the greatest Christmas song of all time, by the way.
Yes.
So particularly, I'm trying to think of that vocal group. It's coming to mind. I'm blanking on it right now. It's not Pentatonics. It's their older.
That's it.
Take Six. That's it. I don't know why.
Is it?
Yes. Take Six rules. First off, Take Six anything is amazing, but Take Six's Christmas stuff is like still like the benchmark for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. We are here, Jacob.
I got turned on to this that album probably
Yeah.
12 years ago. Unbelievable. Okay, so tell us, um, are you a big cook or are you more about going out and eating?
I'm about both though. I leisure cooking. So I've been cooking in the kitchen with my mom probably from I was 3 years old, and she can testify. I used to stand up there, watch what she was doing. I would bake our holiday rum cakes together. I would from the time I was as soon as I could reach the counter, I was there, and my daughter is the same way. She wants to be in there. She wants to be in the action for fun. Sometimes after a long day at the office or working period or just not feeling it, and you have to do it. That's one way, but I love cooking.
That's awesome. What's your go-to like do you have like a go-to style of food like Italian or something like that? Like what's like your home base?
Jamaican food.
Of course.
It's Jamaican. Yeah, it is. I'm a first gen American. So if you go across our family tree, we are the first along that line. We're the American group. So to our American friends and family, we're not American enough. To our Jamaican friends and family, to our Jamaican family, we're not Jamaican enough. So we are the born Jamaicans, like the old group. And
Oh
so my first go-to is typically Jamaican food. My husband is from Philly, but he loves Jamaican food. And in fact, it's funny, I thought I was going to be a caterer or a chef because Johnson & Wales was a school I was thinking about going to when I was in middle school and starting high school. I thought I was going to go there. So somehow I'm still in the hospitality arena there and working with a lot of amazing chefs and caterers. And that's one of my favorite things in the wedding industry, probably eating and tasting. Is that bad? But that's probably what I really enjoy because of the culinary aspect of it all.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Okay, tell me what's your go-to movie this time of year?
Home Alone. I love. Do you know why Home Alone? Because I get to experience it with my kids. My 5-year-old doesn't quite get some of the things, and we don't want him catching all of that. But my 11-year-old and 9-year-old, oh my gosh, it's like a brand new experience watching it with them. So I've really been enjoying Jingle Jangle on Netflix. That is fire. That video is fire. That movie is fire. But right now, watching Home Alone and Home Alone 2, it has been such a fun experience. Yeah.
I'd like to offer this question in regards to Christmas movies. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Do you believe it is or do you believe it's not?
See, I can't speak for Die Hard fans because I've watched it a couple of times, but I don't watch it around Christmas time. I just don't.
Because
So I'm not a good judge on that.
right,
And I don't,
because like, you know,
I
it's
don't want to, I don't want the Die Hard.
yeah, because the setting is like a Christmas party and there's like Christmas trees everywhere. And so everybody thinks it's a Christmas movie, and I personally have a hard time buying that argument. So I'm glad that you're neutral on that because I didn't want to have to fight you.
You don't want to put up this.
Yeah. So cool. Let me before we give shout outs here at the end, let me ask you one last question. What is your what's the one piece of advice you would give a wedding professional that's maybe starting their business right now? What's one thing that you think you could share and impart some wisdom on that would help their journey?
Don't get distracted. There are a lot of distractions out there.
Mm.
Staying the course and being focused. When I say don't get distracted, to elaborate a little bit more, there are a lot of amazing, inspiring professionals that are in the marketplace. Atlanta, we are chock full of them. And it's very easy for us to get caught up on what we saw a designer do on social media, or what we saw a planner who's been in the game for 20, 30 years do on social media with a much larger budget, a different type of clientele. And they're also marketing to a particular clientele because they were able to work their way up in the industry to be able to reach that clientele level, right? So in terms of not getting distracted, I would say that we should always set a goal where we want to be when we come into the industry. Set an intention, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and be very mindful not to be thrown off into anyone else's trajectory, because we put ourselves in other people's shoes and get thrown off of our own course or our own promised land, our own end result, because we're looking so much left and right instead of seeing tunnel vision on what we're supposed to be doing and creating and who we're supposed to be working with. There are going to be challenges that come up. People aren't going to always fulfill what they say they're going to do, and that is human nature. It doesn't mean they don't mean well, but at the end of the day, we can't get distracted. We stay focused on what the goal is and trust that God will provide, or trust that you will be able to come into some divine appointment with the right person to meet that area that you probably shouldn't have been working with that person in the first place on, right? And so there are a lot of different ways we can get distracted. I think setting goals, adjusting and pivoting as we need to, having the intention of what we want to accomplish without getting distracted. We will have little squirrels that pop up. Squirrel, my business director of development, my business operations person, it's funny. She's like, squirrel, 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 but we have to remember not to be too caught up on the squirrels or the different distractions that come in place, and stay narrow, focused, and vision on what it is that we desire to accomplish based on our unique gifting, our unique skill set, and who we are.
Lauren Hines, everybody, give it up. Claps all around.
Whoop, whoop.
Dropping the mic.
Does that show you I'm an 80s? That's an 80s baby to go whoop, whoop, isn't it?
You might have dated yourself a little bit there. I wasn't going to call you out on it, though, but.
Thanks, Jacob. I'm gonna be cool like you interview.
Hey,
Thank you for having me, Jacob, today.
Thanks
Thank you to the Southern Wedding Professionals for.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. That's Lauren Hines. I'm Jacob Deaton, and this has been Southern Wedding Professionals. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.